What makes a good life? Money, fame, or love? Rethinking what makes life worth living.
Hey, Kevin. I wanted to pick your brain about something. Have you ever wondered, like, really wondered, what makes a good life?
Hi, Jane. You're hitting me with the big questions already. But yeah, I've thought about it a lot, especially recently. You know, birthdays, getting older, seeing friends at different stages of life. It kind of forces you to reflect. Why? What's on your mind?
Well, I was watching that TED Talk by Robert Waldinger. You might have seen it. The one about the longest study on happiness.
Oh, yes, I know exactly which one you mean. The Harvard study, right? The one that tracked men for 75 years?
Exactly. That's the one. They followed two groups, Harvard students and boys from tough Boston neighborhoods, and studied their lives in detail. It's insane when you think about it.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Most studies barely last a decade. To keep track of people's health, work, families, and relationships for an entire lifetime, that's dedication.
And the conclusions were so different from what we usually hear. I mean, they didn't say money, success, or fame made people happiest. The clearest message was that good relationships keep us healthier and happier. Period.
Right, that line really stuck with me. Good relationships keep us happier and healthier. Period. It's so simple, but it feels like society is always pushing us in the opposite direction.
Totally. We're constantly told to hustle, get rich, climb the ladder, be famous, or at least Instagram famous. But in the end, that's not what gives life meaning.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Don't you think money and success matter at least a little? I mean, without financial stability, relationships can also be stressful. Like, love doesn't pay the bills, you know?
Oh, I agree. Money provides security. But the study showed it doesn't guarantee happiness. You can be rich and lonely, or famous and miserable.
True. Look at all those celebrity stories. People who seem to have everything, yet they struggle with depression or even die young.
Exactly. And Waldinger pointed out that when they looked at the men's lives, the ones who thrived were those who leaned into relationships with family, friends, and community.
You know what's funny? When I was younger, I really believed the opposite. I thought if I just achieved enough, got the right job, earned more money, ticked off milestones, I'd automatically be happy.
Oh, me too. I used to think happiness was some kind of prize you win at the end of the hustle. Like, work hard now, enjoy life later.
Yeah, except later never really comes, does it? There's always another goalpost, another promotion, another raise, another achievement to chase.
Exactly. It's like running on a treadmill. You keep moving, but never arrive.
But I'll play devil's advocate here. Isn't part of the reason we value relationships because we can afford to? I mean, if you're worried about survival, maybe chasing money first makes sense.
That's fair. But the study followed both wealthy Harvard grads and poor kids from Boston slums. And the same conclusion emerged. Relationships mattered more than wealth, across the board.
Yeah, that part blew me away. You'd expect background to make all the difference. But some kids from poverty ended up happy and healthy because they built strong connections, while some privileged kids ended up miserable because they didn't.
It's humbling, isn't it?
Definitely.
You know, I think what struck me most was the section on loneliness. Waldinger said loneliness kills. People who are isolated are less happy, their health declines earlier, their brain function declines sooner, and they live shorter lives.
That's harsh, but it rings true. I've felt lonely at times, even surrounded by people. It really does eat away at you.
Same here. And he said you can be lonely in a crowd, even lonely in a marriage. It's not about being around people. It's about the quality of your connections.
That's a big one. I think a lot of people imagine marriage or relationships will automatically cure loneliness, but if the relationship is full of conflict or distance, it can be worse than being alone.
Exactly. High conflict marriages were actually shown to harm health more than divorce. That was shocking to me.
Yeah, same, but when you think about it, living in constant tension must keep your body in a state of stress. Stress hormones, blood pressure, mental strain.
Totally. Whereas good relationships act like a buffer. Waldinger mentioned that the happiest people in old age were those who could count on their partner. Even when they felt physical pain, their emotional state stayed positive.
That's amazing. It makes me think of my grandparents. They bickered all the time, but at the end of the day, they always had each other's back. I guess that's the key.
I love that. My parents are kind of the same. They argue about silly things, but when something serious happens, they're a united front.
So maybe it's not about avoiding conflict, but about knowing you can rely on someone when it really matters.
Yes, exactly.
But Jane, let me ask you something. Do you think relationships are enough on their own? Like, what about personal growth, meaning, purpose? Are those just byproducts of relationships, or do they stand on their own?
Good question. I think relationships are the foundation, but purpose matters too. For example, someone might feel fulfilled by their work, art, or service, but without supportive relationships, that purpose might not be enough to keep them healthy and happy.
I see what you mean. Like, you can be passionate about your career, but if you're lonely, the joy doesn't last.
Exactly. Or on the flip side, even if your job isn't glamorous, if you come home to people who love you, life still feels good.
That makes me think about retirement. Waldinger said the happiest retirees were the ones who replaced workmates with playmates, who actively invested in friendships.
Yes, that line really stayed with me. We underestimate how much we rely on work to give us social contact. Once that disappears, if you don't nurture other connections, retirement can feel empty.
That's a scary thought. I can already imagine myself missing those everyday interactions, even the small ones, like chatting with colleagues at the coffee machine.
Same here, which makes me think, maybe we should practice building those connections now, not wait until later.
Yeah, you're right. But you know what's funny? Sometimes I feel torn. I want to nurture relationships, but I also feel the pressure to work hard and make it. It feels like I can't do both.
Oh, I totally get that. Balancing career ambition and relationships is tricky. Sometimes we sacrifice one for the other.
Exactly. And sometimes I wonder, what if chasing success is just a phase? Like when you're young, you need to prove yourself, but later you realize relationships matter more.
Maybe. But the risk is spending so many years chasing success that you neglect the relationships. Then later, it might be too late to rebuild.
That's true. I've seen people regret that.
Me too.
You know, I had this conversation with a friend who's obsessed with becoming a millionaire by 30. He works insane hours, barely sees his family. He insists he's doing it all for them, but he's never around.
That's the irony, right? Sometimes people say they're working hard for their family, but the family just wants their time.
Exactly. And if he's not careful, he'll get rich but lose the very people he's trying to support.
That's heartbreaking, but so common. So if relationships are the secret to a good life, why do you think so many of us ignore that truth?
Probably because relationships are messy. They take constant effort, forgiveness, patience. Money feels simpler. You can measure it, chase it, check it off.
Yes, relationships don't give you instant gratification. They're a lifelong investment, with ups and downs.
And society doesn't glorify relationships the way it glorifies wealth. Think about it. Magazines celebrate billionaires, not people with strong friendships.
True. Nobody makes the cover of Forbes for being a great friend.
Exactly.
But maybe we need to redefine what success really is.
Agreed.
Loneliness, conflict, and the power of forgiveness.
So Jane, when Waldinger said, loneliness kills, I felt that hit me hard. It's such a blunt phrase, but it's true.
Yeah, me too. I think it's one of those truths we all sort of know deep down, but hearing it put so directly makes it undeniable. Loneliness isn't just sad, it's dangerous.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, you can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely.
Oh, I've been there. I remember in college, I lived in a dorm with hundreds of people always going to parties, group projects, crowded cafeterias, and yet there were moments I felt completely invisible.
Same here. I had a phase when I was working at this big company. Open plan office, constant meetings, lunches with coworkers. But I never felt like anyone really knew me. I was always Kevin the analyst, not Kevin the person.
That's such a good point. Loneliness isn't about numbers. It's about depth.
Exactly. And that ties into the second lesson from the study. It's not the number of friends you have, or even whether you're in a relationship. It's the quality of those relationships that matters.
Yes. You can have 1,000 Facebook friends and still be lonely. Or you can have just 1 or 2 really close connections and feel supported.
You know what that makes me think of? My cousin Lisa. She's super extroverted, always at events, always posting with groups of friends. From the outside, it looks like she has this amazing social life. But in private, she once admitted she doesn't feel close to anyone.
That's heartbreaking. It shows that appearances can be misleading.
Yeah. And then there's my uncle, who's kind of a loner, doesn't go out much, just has his wife and one best friend from high school, and he's genuinely content.
That proves the study right there. It's the closeness, the ability to trust and rely on someone, that counts.
But here's where I sometimes struggle. Relationships can also be a source of pain. What about people who stay in toxic families or bad marriages? Are they better off staying connected? Or would they be healthier breaking away?
That's a tough one. I think the study hinted at that too. High conflict relationships were harmful, sometimes worse than divorce.
Right. Constant conflict is poison.
Exactly. I think the key is quality. A warm, supportive relationship protects you. A hostile or neglectful one drains you.
That makes sense. But then, what about forgiveness? Can a toxic relationship ever be repaired? Or is it healthier to walk away?
Depends. Some conflicts can be healed if both people are willing to work. But if the other person isn't, then clinging on just prolongs the damage.
True. I had a falling out with a friend years ago. We argued, stopped talking, and I carried that bitterness for a long time. It affected my mood more than I realized. When I finally let it go and reached out, even though we didn't become best friends again, I felt lighter.
That's powerful. Forgiveness can be healing, even if the relationship doesn't fully recover.
Yeah, but I'll be honest. Sometimes I still think holding a grudge feels easier. Like, why should I do the emotional labor if the other person wronged me?
Oh, I've been there. I've held grudges too. But then I remember what Waldinger said. Those family feuds take a terrible toll on the people who hold the grudges, not just on the people they're against.
True. The bitterness eats you alive more than it punishes them.
Exactly. It's like carrying a heavy backpack every day for years, and the moment you forgive, you drop it.
But forgiving doesn't mean forgetting or excusing, right?
Definitely not. It just means you choose not to let that hurt control you anymore.
That's a good way to put it.
You know, the talk made me think about my own family. There's this long-standing tension between my dad and his brother. They haven't spoken in years, over something I can't even fully explain. And it's so sad, because they're both aging, and time is running out.
That breaks my heart. Do you think they'll reconcile?
Honestly, I don't know. My dad is stubborn. But I can see the toll it's taken on him. Whenever someone mentions his brother, he gets this cloud over his face.
That's the tragedy, isn't it? Sometimes people sacrifice decades of peace just to stay right.
Yeah, pride gets in the way of happiness.
On the flip side, I admire people who are quick to let things go. I had a friend who would get mad at me, but 5 minutes later she'd laugh and say, "Okay, let's move on." I used to think she was shallow, but now I see she was wise.
Yes, that's a skill. Being able to reset and not carry resentment.
And that brings us back to the quality of relationships. Imagine how much healthier our lives would be if we invested in deep, forgiving, supportive connections instead of trying to win arguments.
Absolutely. It's like Mark Twain's quote from The Talk. Life is too short for bickerings and heartburnings. There's only time for loving.
That line made me tear up, honestly.
Me too.
But Jane, let me challenge you. Do you think everyone needs close relationships to be happy? What about people who prefer solitude?
Good question. I think it depends on what we mean by close. Even introverts need some kind of trusted connection. Maybe not a big circle, but at least one person they can count on.
That sounds right. So maybe it's not about being social in the extrovert sense, but about having someone you can rely on in tough times.
Exactly. Security, trust, companionship. That's universal.
Yeah, I can see that. I know a guy who lives alone, doesn't socialize much, but he has this one childhood friend he calls every week. That's his anchor.
And that might be enough for him.
True.
I think the study wasn't prescribing how many friends or how social you need to be. It was just saying, invest in meaningful connections, whatever that looks like for you.
That's reassuring.
Yeah. And it explains why some people thrive in small, quiet lives, while others thrive in big communities. The common thread is trust and care.
That makes sense.
You know what else struck me? The part about how good relationships protect not just the body, but also the brain.
Yes, people who had secure connections kept their memories sharper longer.
Exactly. Isn't that amazing? Emotional support literally preserves cognitive health.
That blew my mind. It makes sense, though. Stress and loneliness probably wear down the brain.
Right. And when you feel secure, your mind stays more resilient.
I wonder if that's why some elderly couples who've been together forever seem so mentally sharp. They keep each other grounded.
Could be. And even when they bicker, as long as they know they can count on each other, their minds stay strong.
That's hopeful.
It is. It makes me think. Instead of fearing old age, maybe we should just focus on nurturing relationships now, so the later years feel rich and connected.
That's a beautiful thought.
Thanks.
Okay, but here's a cynical thought. What if relationships also bring stress? Like raising kids, dealing with in-laws, managing different expectations. It's not always sunshine.
True, relationships can be stressful. But maybe it's about the net balance. Even with stress, the benefits outweigh the costs if the bond is strong.
So the key is whether the support and love outweigh the conflicts.
Exactly.
That makes me think of parenting. Parents sacrifice sleep, money, peace of mind. But many will tell you it's the most rewarding relationship they'll ever have.
Yes, and that kind of relationship gives meaning, even when it's exhausting.
So maybe the lesson is, don't expect relationships to be perfect or easy, but invest in the ones that matter.
Couldn't have said it better.
From small talk to deep bonds, nurturing real connections.
So Jane, something I keep thinking about. How do we tell the difference between surface-level connections and deep ones?
That's a good question. I think surface-level connections are those where you only interact on the surface. Small talk, pleasantries, maybe shared activities, but not much vulnerability. Deep connections, on the other hand, involve trust, openness, and the ability to show your flaws.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like the difference between saying, "How are you?" and expecting fine versus really sitting down and saying, "No, how are you really?"
Exactly. The second kind is rarer, but so much more nourishing.
The thing is, society sometimes pushes us toward the surface ones. Networking events, big social circles, even Instagram followers. It's all about quantity.
True. We confuse visibility with connection. Just because 100 people like your photo doesn't mean they'll show up when you're in the hospital.
Oof, that's blunt but true.
Sorry, but it's real. When life gets tough, you find out who your true connections are.
Yeah, I remember when I was sick a few years ago. My phone went quiet, except for 2 friends who checked in constantly. That showed me who really mattered.
Same here. When I went through a breakup, some people disappeared, but the ones who stayed, listened to me cry, brought ice cream. Those are my people.
That's the thing. You don't need a crowd. You need a core.
Exactly.
But here's the tricky part. How do we build those deeper relationships? You can't just snap your fingers and suddenly have them.
True. I think it takes time, shared experiences, and especially honesty. You have to be willing to be vulnerable, even if it's scary.
Vulnerability, huh? That's a tough one. I sometimes feel like if I open up too much, people will think I'm weak.
Oh, I get that. But I've found the opposite. When I share my struggles, people actually feel closer to me. It gives them permission to open up too.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like, when someone admits they're nervous or insecure, I feel more connected to them than if they always act perfect.
Exactly. Perfection creates distance. Vulnerability builds intimacy.
That reminds me of something. Social media. Do you think it helps or hurts our ability to connect deeply?
Oof, big topic. Honestly, both.
Go on.
I think social media can help us stay in touch, share updates, and even reconnect with old friends. But it also encourages surface-level interaction, likes, emojis, comments, instead of real conversations.
Yeah, I feel that. Sometimes I scroll and think, wow, I know what this person ate for lunch, but I have no idea how they're really doing.
Exactly. It creates this illusion of closeness without the substance.
And it can make us compare our lives too. Everyone posts the highlights, and suddenly you feel like you're the only one struggling.
Yes, that's toxic. You think everyone else has perfect relationships, perfect vacations, perfect families, but it's just curated reality.
Right, I once posted a smiling photo at a party when I was actually feeling miserable inside. People commented, "Looks like you're having so much fun," and I felt like a fraud.
I've done that too. It's like putting on a mask.
So maybe the key is using social media as a tool, not a substitute.
Exactly. Use it to initiate or maintain connections, but don't stop there. Pick up the phone, meet for coffee, write a long message.
Yeah, otherwise it's like living off snacks instead of real meals.
Perfect metaphor. Snacks can keep you going, but you need real nourishment.
Okay, let's shift a bit. The TED Talk mentioned retirement happiness. Remember how Waldinger said the happiest retirees were the ones who replaced workmates with playmates?
Yes, that stuck with me. It's so true. Work gives us built-in social contact, and when that's gone, we need to find new ways to connect.
Exactly. I think that's why some retirees feel lost. They thought retirement would be all joy and freedom, but they didn't realize how much they'd missed the daily chats with coworkers.
Totally. Even those little jokes at the water cooler give life rhythm.
My dad retired last year, and he really struggled at first. He said the silence was deafening, but then he joined a hiking group, and now he's happier than ever.
That's awesome. It shows that replacing colleagues with friends in hobbies or community groups can make all the difference.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, why wait until retirement? Maybe we should all have hobbies and communities outside of work, so our whole social life doesn't depend on our jobs.
Absolutely. Work shouldn't be our only identity or social outlet. Otherwise, when it ends, we're lost.
Exactly.
So the big takeaway is, keep investing in relationships at every stage of life, not just when you need them.
Right. But what does that look like practically? Like, what are some small ways we can do that every day?
For me, it's checking in with people. Sending a quick text that says, "Hey, thinking of you." It takes 10 seconds but strengthens the bond.
I like that. For me, it's making time. Like scheduling lunch with a friend even when I feel too busy, because if I wait for the perfect time, it never comes.
Yes, relationships thrive on intentionality. They don't just happen.
Exactly. Another thing I've been trying is being present. When I'm with someone, I put my phone away. Otherwise, it feels like I'm only half there.
Oh, I love that. Nothing kills connection faster than scrolling while someone's talking.
Right? It's like saying, you're not as interesting as this random stranger on Instagram.
Haha, so true.
Another practical thing, doing something new together. Waldinger mentioned that too. Going for a long walk, trying a new activity, cooking a meal together. It refreshes the bond.
Yes, shared experiences create memories. And memories are like glue for relationships.
That's a great way to put it.
You know, I also think honesty matters. Like telling someone, "I appreciate you," or "I love having you in my life." We don't say those things enough.
Agreed. Sometimes I hold back because I feel awkward, but then I remember, what if I never get the chance again?
Exactly. Life is short. Better to risk sounding cheesy than to leave love unspoken.
Totally.
So if I sum up, practical ways are checking in, making time, being present, sharing new experiences, and expressing appreciation.
That's a great list. If we all did just those 5 things, our relationships would be so much richer.
I think so too.
And richer relationships equal a richer life.
Exactly.
So why is it so hard to actually do these things consistently?
Haha. Because we get busy, distracted, or lazy, and we assume relationships will maintain themselves. But they don't.
Yeah, like plants. You have to water them regularly, not just once in a while.
Perfect analogy.
So maybe a good life isn't about grand gestures, but about small, consistent acts of care.
Yes, that's the secret sauce.
The hard work of relationships and aging gracefully together.
You know, Jane, something that really stuck with me in Waldinger's talk was when he said relationships are messy, complicated, and lifelong. He made it sound like it's not some magical cure, but hard work.
Yes, that part felt so refreshingly honest. Because we often romanticize relationships, like once you find the right people, everything will be smooth. But the truth is, even the best relationships take effort, constant tending.
Exactly. It's like a garden. If you just plant seeds and walk away, weeds take over.
That's such a good metaphor. I think people sometimes give up too easily because they expect perfection. But relationships are between imperfect humans. There will always be misunderstandings, disagreements, and phases of distance.
Right. I think the key is whether both people are willing to keep showing up even when it's not fun.
Yes, like, love isn't just a feeling, it's also a commitment.
But here's the thing. How do you balance closeness with independence? Sometimes I feel suffocated if I spend too much time with one person, even someone I love.
Oh, I totally get that. I think healthy relationships actually allow for independence. Being close doesn't mean being glued together.
True. I guess it's about knowing each other's rhythms. Like, I need some alone time, but I'll come back.
Exactly. It's trust. When you trust the bond, you don't panic if someone needs space.
That's a relief. Because I've had friendships where needing space was seen as rejection, and it made things tense.
Yeah, that can be tricky, but I think mature relationships have that elasticity, stretching apart and coming back together without breaking.
Elasticity. I like that word.
Thanks.
You know, I've been thinking about elderly couples lately, like the ones in the study, who stayed together for decades. Some of them bickered daily, but still said they were happy.
Yes, I loved that. It shows that happiness in relationships isn't about never arguing. It's about knowing you can count on each other when it really matters.
Exactly. My grandparents were like that. My grandma would complain about my grandpa leaving socks everywhere, and he'd grumble about her cooking too much cabbage. But when she got sick, he cared for her day and night without hesitation. That's love.
That's beautiful. My neighbor is an elderly widow, and she talks about her late husband with such fondness. She says they drove each other crazy sometimes, but she never doubted his loyalty. That sense of security seems priceless.
Yeah, it's like a safety net. Even if life is chaotic, you know you're not facing it alone.
That's huge for aging gracefully. Having someone to lean on when your health declines, or when the world feels overwhelming.
And it's not just spouses. Friendships matter too. I read once about two women who were best friends for over 70 years. They lived on the same street, raised kids together, even traveled together. When one passed away, the other said, "I feel like I've lost part of myself."
Wow, that's so moving. It shows how deeply relationships shape our identity.
Yes, and I think that's why the study found good relationships protect memory. If your identity is intertwined with others, you stay mentally engaged.
Exactly. Conversations, shared memories, laughter, it all keeps the brain active.
That makes me wonder, what about people who don't have families? Can friendships be just as powerful in aging well?
I think so. The study mentioned community connections too, not just family. People who stayed engaged with friends, neighbors, and groups fared better than those who isolated.
That's reassuring, because not everyone gets married or has kids, but everyone can cultivate friendships.
Yes. I think of a retired teacher I know who never married, but she volunteers at a library, mentors kids, and has a tight circle of friends. She's one of the happiest people I've met.
That's inspiring.
It really is.
But here's a challenge. Relationships get harder to maintain as we age, don't they? People move, get busy, pass away. How do you keep connections strong in the face of all that?
That's tough. I think it requires intentionality. Making the effort to reach out, even when life pulls you in different directions.
Yeah, like not letting pride or busyness be an excuse.
Exactly. And being willing to adapt. Maybe you can't meet as often, but you can call, write, or video chat. The form doesn't matter. The care does.
True, I sometimes underestimate the power of a simple call. Hearing someone's voice can be so comforting.
Yes, and even small rituals help, like weekly dinners, annual reunions, or holiday traditions. Those anchors keep relationships alive.
I love that idea. Traditions as glue.
Exactly.
You know, I've been guilty of letting friendships drift. I always assume we'll catch up someday, but then months or years pass.
Oh, same here. But the good thing is, it's never too late to reach out. I once reconnected with a friend after 8 years of silence. I was nervous, but she was thrilled to hear from me.
That's encouraging. Maybe I should call my old college buddy. We used to be inseparable, but life got in the way.
Do it. I bet he'd appreciate it.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, all this makes me think. Maybe aging gracefully isn't just about health or finances. It's about not being alone in the journey.
Exactly. Having companions for the road.
Yes,
So maybe the good life is built day by day through the care we put into relationships, even when it's not glamorous.
that's the truth.
You know, Jane, I think we've cracked the secret of aging well. Tend to your people, and they'll tend to you.
Beautifully said, Kevin.
Regret, ambition, and choosing relationships over success.
You know, Kevin, the more we talk about this, the more I keep thinking about regret. How many people realize too late that they should have invested more in relationships?
Yeah, regret is a heavy word, isn't it? I remember reading a book about the top regrets of the dying. Do you know what number one was?
Let me guess. Not spending enough time with loved ones?
Close. It was, I wish I had lived a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. But right after that came, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends.
Wow, that says it all. People don't regret not working more overtime or not buying a fancier car. They regret not nurturing relationships.
Exactly. And yet, when we're younger, we often make choices as if the opposite is true.
Yes, it's like we're programmed to chase success first, connection later. But sometimes later never comes.
That reminds me of my old boss. He was super successful. Fancy house, expensive suits, always on business trips. But he was divorced twice, and his kids barely spoke to him. One day he told me, "Don't make the mistake I did. I climbed the ladder, but it was leaning against the wrong wall."
Whoa, that's powerful.
Yeah, it stuck with me. He had all the external markers of success, but admitted he was lonely.
I think about that a lot too, like, what if we spend decades chasing things that don't actually matter?
Exactly. It's terrifying.
But maybe that's why talks like Waldinger's are so important. They're reminders to realign before it's too late.
True, but let me challenge you a little. Don't you think career and success can bring fulfillment too? Like, some people genuinely love their work and feel purpose in it.
Oh, definitely. I don't think the talk was saying ignore your career. Work can be meaningful, but the study showed that career achievements alone don't sustain happiness without strong relationships.
So it's not either or, but both and.
Exactly. You can pursue work you love, but you still need people you love.
That's a good balance. But in practice, it's hard. Careers demand so much time and energy. Sometimes relationships suffer as a result.
True. That's the tension. How do you invest in both without burning out?
Yeah. I've noticed that during busy seasons, I withdraw from friends. I tell myself, I'll reconnect when things calm down, but by then, weeks or months have passed.
Same here. But I think that's where intentionality comes in. Even a 5-minute call can keep a relationship alive.
That's a good reminder. Maybe it doesn't have to be grand gestures.
Exactly. I once had a professor who said, care is shown in the small, regular touches. That always stayed with me.
That's wise.
You know, another thing Waldinger mentioned was how people in the study who leaned into relationships ended up faring the best, while those who prioritized wealth or fame often felt empty.
Yeah, that's striking. And yet our culture still glorifies the opposite. It's like, we know the truth, but we ignore it.
Right, we've heard money doesn't buy happiness a million times, but deep down we think, well, maybe it will for me.
Haha, guilty. I used to think, sure, money won't buy happiness, but it'll buy comfort, which is close enough.
And did it?
Honestly, no. Don't get me wrong, having financial stability feels good, but once my basic needs were covered, the extra stuff didn't add much joy.
Same here. I once got a bonus and bought this fancy gadget I'd been eyeing. It was exciting for a week, then it just became another object lying around.
Exactly. But when I spent money on a trip with friends, those memories lasted years.
Yes, experiences and relationships give lasting happiness. Stuff fades.
That makes me think maybe the best use of money is to invest in relationships.
Totally. Like traveling with loved ones, hosting dinners, creating shared memories.
Yes, not just hoarding wealth for its own sake.
Absolutely.
You know, I sometimes wonder, what if we lived as if relationships were our retirement plan? Like, instead of obsessing over saving every dollar, we obsessed over building a strong social network for our older years.
That's a fascinating idea, because in the end, people are the ones who'll care for us, not money.
Exactly. Money can pay for a nurse, but it can't make someone love you.
Yes, and love is what makes the hard parts of life bearable.
So the real question is, how do we start living differently now?
Good question. I think it starts with reevaluating priorities. Asking, am I investing more in my bank account or in my relationships?
Yeah, and then making small shifts, like instead of saying yes to every extra project at work, maybe saying yes to dinner with a friend.
Exactly. It doesn't mean quitting your job. It just means not sacrificing connection on the altar of ambition.
That's a powerful phrase, the altar of ambition.
Haha, thanks. But it's true. Too many sacrifices are made there.
Yeah, I don't want to wake up at 70 and realize I traded love for achievements.
Me neither.
So maybe the trick is to keep asking, will this choice bring me closer to people or push me further away?
Yes, a simple but guiding question.
And if we keep choosing connection, we'll probably end up happier in the long run.
Exactly.
You know, Jane, talking about regret makes me want to be more proactive. Like, to reach out to old friends, mend broken ties, and not postpone love.
Same here. Maybe we should both make a little relationship bucket list. People we want to reconnect with, friendships we want to deepen, moments we want to create.
That's brilliant. A relationship bucket list.
Why not? If we can plan careers and finances, we can plan friendships too.
I love it. Okay, let's do it.
Deal.
Healing old wounds, forgiveness, childhood patterns in community.
You know, Jane, I keep circling back to forgiveness. The talk touched on how family feuds and grudges weigh people down. And honestly, I've seen that in my own life.
Yeah? Tell me more.
Well, I haven't spoken to my cousin in years. We had this stupid argument about money when our grandmother passed away. I felt cheated. He felt I was being unfair. Since then, it's been radio silence. And the crazy thing is, whenever I think about family gatherings, I feel this knot in my stomach because of that one unresolved fight.
Oh, I get that. I've had similar situations. It's like one broken relationship casts a shadow on everything else.
Exactly. And sometimes I wonder, would it actually heal me if I forgave him, even if he never apologized?
That's such an important question. I think forgiveness is more about freeing yourself than excusing the other person.
Yeah, but easier said than done.
Totally. It takes time. But holding on to anger hurts us more than it hurts them.
That's true. I read once that resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yes, I love that saying. It captures it perfectly.
So maybe part of a good life is learning to let go sooner, instead of carrying grudges for decades.
I agree. And maybe reconciliation isn't always possible, but at least you can reach a place of peace inside yourself.
Yeah, because sometimes the other person won't meet you halfway.
Exactly. Forgiveness doesn't require their participation. It's your choice. Reconciliation, on the other hand, does require both.
That's a good distinction.
You know, this makes me think of childhood. A lot of the patterns we carry into adult relationships come from there.
Oh, absolutely. Attachment theory and all that.
Right. If you grew up feeling secure, it's easier to trust people as an adult. If you grew up with neglect or conflict, You might struggle with intimacy later.
That's me, honestly. My parents fought constantly. As a kid, I learned that relationships equal conflict. So now, as an adult, I sometimes avoid closeness because I'm afraid of repeating that pain.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. That must be tough.
Yeah, but being aware of it helps. I try to remind myself that not all relationships are doomed to be like my parents.
Exactly. Awareness is the first step to breaking the cycle.
What about you? Did your childhood shape your view of relationships?
Definitely. My parents were very affectionate, always supportive of each other, so I grew up believing relationships could be safe and loving. But, on the flip side, I sometimes idealize relationships too much, expecting them to always be warm, which isn't realistic.
That's interesting. So you struggle when conflict arises.
Yes, I tend to panic and think something's wrong, instead of accepting conflict as normal.
That's so fascinating. It shows how our childhood templates stick with us even if we rationally know better.
Exactly. And that's why self-reflection is so important, to understand where our patterns come from.
So true.
Now, what about toxic relationships? How do we handle those? Because the study emphasized good relationships, but not all relationships are good.
Yeah, that's tricky. I think step one is recognizing when a relationship is more draining than nourishing.
Agreed. Sometimes loyalty keeps us stuck in harmful dynamics.
Yes. Like staying friends with someone just because you've known them forever, even though they constantly belittle you.
Or family members who guilt trip you. That one's tough, because family makes people feel they have no choice.
Exactly. But I think boundaries are essential. You can still care from a distance without letting someone poison your well-being.
I like that. Caring from a distance.
Yeah. It's not about hating them, but about protecting yourself.
That's so important. Because sometimes we think the only options are staying close or cutting off completely. But there's a middle ground. Limited contact, clear boundaries.
Exactly.
On the other hand, nurturing healthy relationships requires the opposite. Openness, vulnerability, patience.
Yes, the investment is worth it if the relationship is healthy.
Totally. And it's amazing how one supportive friendship can outweigh several toxic ones.
True. Quality over quantity, always.
That brings us to community. I think the study also highlighted how being connected to a community matters, not just individuals.
Yes, people who felt part of something larger, a church, a club, a volunteer group, had better health and happiness.
Right, it makes sense. Humans are social creatures. We need to feel we belong.
Exactly, and giving back seems to boost happiness too.
Yes, service creates meaning. When you contribute to others, you strengthen bonds and feel less isolated.
That reminds me of when I volunteered at a soup kitchen. I went in thinking I'd just be helping others, but I walked away feeling more connected myself.
I've had that too. When I tutored kids in the community, I ended up making friends with other volunteers. It gave me a sense of purpose beyond myself.
So maybe the secret isn't just investing in close relationships, but also in being part of a community.
Absolutely, community gives us a safety net. And it helps us step outside our self-centered worries.
Yeah, because when you're focused on others, your own problems feel smaller.
Exactly.
So to sum up, part 6 of our little philosophy session, forgive where you can, heal your childhood patterns, protect yourself from toxic ties, and plug into community.
Ha ha, I love that. That's the good life toolkit right there.
Feels like we're writing our own TED Talk at this point.
Don't tempt me. I'll draft the slides.
Deal. I'll be your co-speaker.
Gratitude, struggles, and celebrating people while they're here.
Kevin, we've talked about forgiveness, community, toxic relationships. But there's one piece I think is underrated: gratitude.
Oh yes, absolutely. Gratitude is like the oil that keeps relationships running smoothly.
Exactly. It's so easy to take people for granted, especially those closest to us.
True. We assume they'll always be there, so we stop noticing the little things.
Right. Like when a partner makes coffee every morning, or a friend checks in after a tough week. We get used to it, and it fades into the background.
Yeah, and yet those are the very gestures that make life feel warm.
Exactly. Expressing gratitude keeps those gestures alive. Even a simple thank you can make someone feel valued.
You know what's funny? At work, we have whole systems for recognition. Employee awards, performance reviews, bonuses. But in personal relationships, we often skip the basics.
Yes, we should be giving out appreciation awards to our loved ones daily.
Haha, I'd love that. Imagine giving your partner a little trophy for Best Listener or Master of Weekend Pancakes.
That would be adorable. And honestly, it would make people smile.
Totally. But seriously, gratitude doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes a heartfelt note or text means more than a fancy gift.
Yes. I once wrote a long letter to a friend just to tell her how much she means to me. She said it was one of the most precious things she's ever received.
That's beautiful. I should do that more.
Me too.
Gratitude also strengthens resilience. When you're aware of what you have, setbacks feel less crushing.
Absolutely. And it deepens bonds. Imagine telling your friend, "I appreciate you for always making me laugh." They'll remember that for years.
Yeah, it's like planting seeds of warmth that keep growing.
Exactly.
Speaking of resilience, that reminds me, shared struggles can also bring people closer.
Yes, I think about that a lot. Sometimes the strongest bonds form not in good times, but in hard ones.
Right, like soldiers who become brothers after serving together, or families who grow closer after weathering illness or loss.
Exactly. There's something about facing adversity side by side that forges trust and intimacy.
I remember when my mom got really sick. My siblings and I had our differences, but during that time, we pulled together. We argued less, supported each other more. It was painful, but it strengthened our bond.
That's powerful. I've experienced something similar. When I lost my job, I felt so low. But a few friends really showed up for me, checking in, taking me out, reminding me of my worth. Our friendship grew stronger because of that season.
Yeah, struggles reveal who's truly in your corner.
Exactly. And once you know that, the bond is unshakable.
But here's the flip side. Struggles can also break relationships, can't they?
True. Sometimes stress pushes people apart.
So what's the difference between struggles that bond and struggles that break?
Good question. I think it comes down to whether people turn toward each other or against each other in hard times.
Yes. If both lean in, the bond strengthens. If they blame or withdraw, it fractures.
Exactly. That's why communication and gratitude matter even more during crises.
Right, because when you say, "I'm glad we're in this together," even a tough situation feels lighter.
Yes.
Which brings me back to your point about taking people for granted. That's such a danger, especially in long relationships.
Totally. Familiarity makes us stop noticing. It's like living next to a beautiful view. You stop appreciating it after a while.
Yes, and then one day, it's gone, and you realize how precious it was.
Exactly. That's why gratitude is urgent. Don't wait until lost to value people.
That makes me think of funerals. Everyone says wonderful things then. Imagine how powerful it would be if we said them while the person was still alive.
Oh yes, living eulogies.
Living eulogies? I love that.
Yeah, why not tell people now what you'd say at their funeral? Give them that gift while they can hear it.
That's profound. I might actually try that.
Me too.
You know, Jane, I think the reason we often fail at gratitude is busyness. We assume I'll thank them later, or they know I appreciate them, and then we move on.
Right. But appreciation unsaid is appreciation wasted.
Exactly.
So maybe the good life requires daily gratitude, not in a cheesy, forced way, but in sincere, specific moments.
Yes, like thanks for picking me up when I was down yesterday, or I love how you always remember my coffee order.
Exactly.
And celebrating relationships daily, not just during birthdays or crises.
Yes, everyday celebrations. A random hug, a surprise call, an unexpected compliment.
That sounds like a recipe for happiness.
I think it is.
So to sum up this part, gratitude fuels love. Struggles can forge deeper bonds. Taking people for granted is dangerous, and we should celebrate relationships daily.
Perfect summary.
You know, Jane, if we actually practiced all this gratitude, forgiveness, connection, presence, I think our lives would feel radically different.
I think so too. And not just ours. The lives of everyone around us. Because love spreads.
That's true. Happiness is contagious.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's our challenge for this week? Should we each pick one person and express specific gratitude to them?
I love that. Let's do it. And then we'll share how it went.
Deal.
Time is the real currency. Rituals, presents, and daily habits.
You know, Jane, the more we talk, the more I realize time is the real currency of relationships.
Yes, you can't buy back time with the people you love. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Exactly. And yet we often treat time with loved ones as optional, something we'll get to after work, after chores, after scrolling on our phones.
Oh, guilty as charged. Sometimes I'll spend an hour mindlessly scrolling, but then tell myself, I don't have time to call a friend.
Same here. But in reality, time is the truest gift we can give.
Absolutely. When someone gives you their time, they're giving you a piece of their life they'll never get back. That's precious.
That's deep. It makes me think of my grandma again. She never gave fancy gifts, but she always gave time, listening, cooking together, telling stories. And those are my fondest memories.
Same with my grandfather. He'd take me fishing. Half the time we didn't even catch anything, but those hours meant the world to me.
Exactly. Presence over presence.
Yes. People remember how you made them feel, not what you bought them.
Totally. I can barely remember most gifts I got as a kid, but I vividly remember afternoons baking cookies with my mom.
Exactly. Experiences linger, stuff fades.
So maybe the richest people aren't the ones with the most money, but the ones who give the most time to the people they love.
Yes, that's the kind of wealth I want to build.
Me too.
And time connects to rituals and traditions too. Those are basically time carved out for connection.
True, like family dinners, Sunday walks, annual trips. They create a rhythm.
Exactly. They say to the people in your life, you matter enough for me to set aside time just for us.
That's powerful.
Do you have any traditions like that?
Well, growing up, every Friday night we had pizza and a movie as a family. No matter how busy the week was, that was sacred. And honestly, those nights anchored me.
I love that. Did you carry it into adulthood?
Not exactly, but I've started something similar with my friends. Once a month we do board game night. It sounds silly, but it gives us something to look forward to.
That's not silly at all. That's brilliant.
What about you?
My friends and I do birthday letters. Instead of gifts, we write each other heartfelt letters every year. I've kept every single one, and they're treasures.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that idea.
Thanks. I think traditions don't have to be big. They just have to be consistent.
Yes, because consistency builds security.
Exactly.
You know, this makes me realize how daily habits shape the quality of relationships.
Yes, people think relationships are made in big moments, but really, they're built in the small daily things.
Like saying good morning, giving a hug when you get home, listening without interrupting.
Exactly. Or even habits like putting the phone away at dinner.
Yes, those little acts of presence add up over years.
On the flip side, neglect also adds up. Ignoring texts, canceling plans repeatedly, half listening while scrolling, those small choices slowly erode trust and connection.
Yeah, death by 1,000 cuts.
Exactly.
So the good life isn't one dramatic event. It's the accumulation of daily habits that nurture or neglect relationships.
Perfectly said.
It makes me wonder, what daily habits do I have that strengthen my relationships, and which ones weaken them?
That's a great reflection question. For me, I think my strength is checking in, sending little thinking of you texts. But my weakness is multitasking when I'm with someone.
Yeah, I can relate. I think my strength is showing up when someone's in crisis. I'm dependable in emergencies. But my weakness is consistency in the ordinary days.
That's interesting. So you're the guy people can call at 2 a.m., but not necessarily for a casual coffee on a random Tuesday.
Exactly.
Well, awareness is the first step.
True. Maybe I should work on being more present in the everyday, not just the dramatic.
That would make your relationships feel less like roller coasters and more like steady paths.
Haha, good analogy.
Thanks.
You know, Jane, I think we underestimate the power of ordinary presence. Just sitting with someone, doing nothing special, can be deeply bonding.
Yes. Some of my favorite memories are just sitting on the couch with a friend, drinking tea, chatting about nothing.
Exactly. Not everything has to be an event.
Presence is enough.
That might be the simplest but hardest lesson. Just show up.
Yes, that's it. Show up. Consistently.
So to sum up part 8, time is the real gift. Rituals and traditions anchor us. Presence matters more than presence, and daily habits build the foundation of a good life.
Perfect.
You know, Jane, we should probably write a guide after this conversation.
Haha! The Jane and Kevin Handbook for the Good Life.
I'd buy that book.
Me too.
Hope, laughter, and vulnerability, the ingredients of intimacy.
Kevin, you know what we haven't touched on much? The role of hope and optimism in relationships.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, because if you think about it, people who are hopeful bring a kind of energy that strengthens bonds.
Exactly. Imagine spending time with someone who's constantly pessimistic, always predicting doom. That drains you.
Totally. Whereas being around someone hopeful makes you feel like life is worth investing in.
Right. And it's not about toxic positivity, pretending everything's fine. It's about holding on to the belief that challenges can be overcome.
Yeah, I think that's what keeps couples or friends together through rough patches, the shared belief that things will get better.
Exactly. Hope is glue.
That makes me think of my aunt and uncle. They went through bankruptcy years ago, really hard times. But my aunt kept saying, we'll rebuild, we'll be okay, and you know what? They did. Her optimism carried them.
That's inspiring. I think optimism doesn't just lighten your own load, it lightens everyone's around you.
Exactly. It's contagious.
And laughter is part of that too. Shared laughter is such a bonding force.
Yes. Honestly, some of my closest friendships are built on dumb jokes and belly laughs.
Same. You can go through a serious crisis with someone, but a single moment of laughter together can heal so much tension.
Absolutely. Even in my darkest times, if a friend made me laugh, it gave me oxygen to keep going.
Yes, that's why play is so underrated. Adults act like play is for kids, but actually, play is vital for relationships at any age.
I agree. Playing board games, going on silly adventures, even just goofing around. It brings joy and connection.
Exactly. And it balances out the heavy conversations.
Speaking of balance, I think a good life requires both serious talks and lighthearted moments.
Yes. If it's all serious, relationships feel heavy. If it's all joking, they lack depth.
Right. It's like music. You need both bass and melody.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
So vulnerability brings the depth, and laughter brings the lightness.
Exactly. Vulnerability is scary, though.
Oh, definitely. But it's what makes intimacy real.
Yeah, I used to think being vulnerable was weakness, but now I see it's courage.
Yes, it takes strength to say, I'm hurting, or I need help.
And the amazing thing is, when you open up, most people feel honored, not burdened.
Exactly. It creates trust. Like, you trusted me with your heart. That means our relationship is real.
Yeah, and once you've shared vulnerabilities, the bond deepens in a way nothing else can.
Totally.
But vulnerability needs to be paired with safety. You can't be vulnerable with everyone.
True. You have to choose people who've shown they can be trusted.
Yes, and once you do, the relationship becomes a sanctuary.
That's a beautiful word. Sanctuary.
Thanks. I think that's what good relationships are. Places of sanctuary where you can be your true self.
Yes! Where you can drop the masks and just be.
And maybe that's the ultimate good life, to be surrounded by sanctuaries of love, laughter, and hope.
I love that.
You know, Jane, I feel like laughter, hope, and vulnerability are the three legs of a stool. Without one, the balance tips.
That's brilliant. Yes. Hope gives resilience, laughter gives joy, and vulnerability gives depth. Together, they make life rich.
Exactly.
And the beauty is, anyone can cultivate those things. You don't need wealth or fame, just openness, kindness, and time.
Yes, that's why the study was so revolutionary. It showed that the good life isn't about extraordinary achievements, but ordinary connections.
Exactly.
Okay, so our Part 9 summary: hope holds us together, laughter keeps us light, vulnerability makes us real, and balancing all three gives us strong, joyful bonds.
Perfect.
Honestly, this conversation is giving me hope right now.
Same here, and it's making me laugh too.
And we've been vulnerable, so hey, we're practicing what we preach.
Ha ha, true.
Meaning, service, and legacy. Living a good life, not just a long one.
You know, Jane, one angle we haven't really dug into is meaning. Like, how do relationships tie into our sense of purpose?
Oh, I love that question. I think relationships are one of the biggest sources of meaning. They give us reasons to get up in the morning, reasons to endure hardship, reasons to celebrate.
Yeah, it's like Viktor Frankl said, people can endure almost any how if they have a why. And often, that why is other people.
Exactly. It's not just about surviving, it's about having someone to survive for.
That makes sense. Like parents who work hard because they want their kids to have a better life. Or friends who motivate each other to stay healthy or chase dreams.
Yes, relationships anchor our sense of purpose.
But let's push further. What about service and mentorship? Do you think giving to others expands that sense of meaning?
Absolutely. When you mentor someone or contribute to your community, you're not just living for yourself, you're investing in a legacy.
Legacy, that's a big word.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to mean statues or books. It can mean the impact you leave on the hearts of people around you.
Like being remembered as the neighbor who always helped, or the teacher who believed in a student.
Exactly. Those ripples last longer than material achievements.
You know, this reminds me of my high school coach. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, but decades later I still hear people talk about how he changed their lives. That's legacy.
Yes, and what's beautiful is that he probably built that legacy one conversation, one act of encouragement at a time.
Exactly. Small daily investments, big long-term impact.
Which brings us back to the difference between a long life and a good life.
Right, you can live to 100. But if you're bitter, lonely, and disconnected, is that really a good life?
Exactly. Quantity of years doesn't equal quality of life.
And on the flip side, some people die young but leave behind a legacy of love and kindness that touches countless lives.
Yes, a short life can still be a full life.
That's sobering but freeing. It shifts the focus from how long will I live to how well will I love.
I love that phrasing.
Thanks.
You know, the Harvard study proved this too. The happiest people weren't necessarily the ones who lived longest, but the ones who lived connected.
Right. Connection is quality.
Exactly.
So practically speaking, how do we live today as if relationships are the highest priority?
I think it starts with questions. Ask yourself daily, who did I connect with today? Who do I need to reach out to? Did I show love to the people closest to me?
That's good. Almost like a relationship check-in list.
Exactly.
For me, I think it's about shifting schedules. If my calendar is packed with work tasks but empty of relationship time, something's off.
Yes. Imagine if we scheduled time with loved ones as seriously as business meetings.
That would change everything.
It really would.
Also, rituals. Like we talked about earlier, daily habits that prioritize connection.
Yes, like family dinners, evening walks, weekly calls.
Exactly. Because otherwise, someday never comes.
Right. Someday is a dangerous word.
Totally.
Another practical thing, being fully present. Even if you only have 15 minutes with someone, make it count.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly.
You know, I think of it like this. When I'm on my deathbed, I won't remember the emails I answered or the deadlines I met. I'll remember the people I loved and the moments we shared.
Yes, that perspective changes everything.
So maybe the good life isn't complicated after all. It's just love, time, presence, and service.
Beautifully summed up.
Thanks.
You know, Kevin, I feel like if more people internalize this, society would look different. Less burnout, less loneliness, more joy.
Yeah, maybe that's why this study resonates so much. It's not just data. It's a mirror showing us what we already know but often ignore.
Exactly.
Okay, so part 10 takeaway. Meaning comes from relationships. Service gives us legacy. A good life is about quality, not length. And the way to live differently now is to prioritize connection daily.
Perfect summary.
You know, Jane, I think we're actually living the good life right now. Talking, reflecting, connecting.
You're right. This conversation itself is proof of what matters most.
Comfort and growth, evolving together across the decades.
You know, Jane, something else struck me in the talk, when Waldinger mentioned doing new things together to liven up stale relationships.
Oh yes, that part really resonated. It made me realize that relationships can't survive on autopilot forever.
Exactly. Comfort zones feel safe, but too much comfort can turn into stagnation.
Right. You can love someone deeply, but if every interaction is predictable, the spark fades.
Yeah, and not just romantic relationships. Friendships too. If all you ever do is the same old coffee catch-up, you stop creating new memories.
True. Novelty is fuel. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just something different. Trying a new restaurant, going on a hike, even learning a skill together.
Exactly. It's like giving your relationship fresh oxygen.
And it also reveals new sides of people. You might see your friend's adventurous streak on a trip, or your partner's creativity in a cooking class.
Yes, that's what keeps the connection alive. You keep discovering each other.
I think that's what growing together really means. Not just coexisting, but evolving side by side.
Beautifully said.
Thanks.
But here's a tricky balance. How do you respect comfort while still seeking growth?
I think comfort is the foundation, growth is the adventure. You need both. Too much comfort, and you stagnate. Too much novelty, and you feel unstable.
Yeah, like a house. Comfort is the solid walls, growth is the open windows.
I love that metaphor.
Thanks.
So practically, maybe it's about having steady rituals for security, but sprinkling in new experiences for growth.
Yes, like weekly family dinners for stability, but occasional road trips for adventure.
Exactly.
This makes me think about how relationships evolve over decades. Like, imagine a couple married for 50 years. They've seen each other through so many phases. Youth, careers, parenting, retirement. That's constant evolution.
Yes, and the successful ones embrace change rather than resist it.
Right, because people change. The person you married at 25 won't be the same at 55.
Exactly, and if you expect them to stay the same, you'll be disappointed.
So the trick is to keep falling in love with the new versions of each other.
Yes, that's so well put.
Thanks.
And it's not just romantic partners. Friendships evolve too. I've had friends I was inseparable with in college, then we drifted when life got busy. But when we reconnected later, the friendship had matured. It wasn't about late-night parties anymore. It was about supporting each other through careers and families.
That's so true. Friendships shift with seasons. And that's okay.
Yes. I used to mourn the changes, but now I see it as natural growth.
Same.
I think growing old together is less about staying exactly the same and more about choosing to adapt together.
I like that. Growing old together means saying, I'll walk with you through every version of yourself.
Yes.
And that's a powerful commitment.
It really is.
But here's the thing. Not all relationships survive the decades. Some people grow apart.
True. And that's painful, but sometimes necessary.
Yeah. But the ones that do survive are so rich, because they've weathered storms and seen each other's full humanity.
Exactly. There's something deeply sacred about a bond that lasts a lifetime.
Yes, like those elderly couples in the study, bickering, teasing, but still together, still caring.
That's the dream, isn't it? To look back and say, we made it. Through all the ups and downs, we stayed.
Yes.
And not just stayed, but grew, changed, adapted, and deepened.
That's the good life right there.
It really is.
So part 11 takeaway. Relationships need both comfort and growth. Novelty keeps them alive. Evolution is natural. And growing old together means walking alongside each other through every change.
Perfectly wrapped up.
Jane, I feel like we're not just talking. We're rehearsing for our own futures.
Haha, maybe so. And honestly, I find comfort in that.
Me too.